Yo, 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 it's your boy Colin, aka Colin Trade CSP, back with you with another video, weekly outlook video for this new coming week. We had a lot of things come out last week when it came to continuation of the Iran war. We had a lot of issues when it came to possible rate cut decisions that Donald Trump was trying to force Jerome Powell's hand when it comes to rate decisions and stuff like that. But also we had continuation when it comes to the stock market going down, oil prices going up towards the second half of the week. So, we do have a new upcoming week with interesting news when it comes to a potential rate cut decision, which most likely will not get, but also with oil prices being flat over the weekend and possible, with the stock market also being flat over the weekend. Not really a lot of things happening, but we did get some possible good news with Trump trying to allow ships through the Strait of Hormuz, allowing oil tankers to come through. Then also the U.S. hitting the reserves, allowing gas prices to come down, allowing the stock market to rally towards the end of the day on Friday. But we did get an extreme sell-off come Thursday and the beginning of Fridays. We did break some key levels, so we'll definitely look at the charts when it comes to this upcoming week, what we're looking for, but also we're going to see some potential news as we have some pretty big catalysts this coming week. So let's basically sit down, relax, enjoy the video. If you have any questions or concerns, leave a comment. And if you like this video, hit the like button. But also just want to let you guys know, I like to post these videos every single week. And I like to actually, look back on these videos to see how I want to play out this coming week. So I hope you guys enjoy the video and let's get into it. So first, let's start looking at the economic news, the economic calendars for this week. We really have nothing going on. Monday, Empire State Manufacturing, industrial productions, capacity utilization. Come Tuesday, pending home sales. That's something to keep an eye on when it comes to how the housing market is doing, as Trump preaches that he wants affordable housing throughout the United States, home building confidence and so forth. So that's something to keep an eye on. Big day will be Wednesday as we have PPI news coming out, and then also the big one at 2 o'clock is FOMC interest rate decisions and Fed Chair Powell after the interest rate decision. So this past coming week, Trump did tweet out when we got the CPI and other news last week. So, that being in line, Donald Trump tweeted out to Jerome Powell basically stating to cut interest rates. So, I highly doubt on Wednesday we will get any type of interest rate cut. But, that was something said by Donald Trump trying to force his hand. But we'll most likely get a pause come on Wednesday to basically just level out things. So nothing serious, hopefully, when it comes to the markets. Of course, we do not want to hike and allow interest rates to go higher. But, right now, the overall market is predicting that we get a pause this coming Wednesday. And then on Thursday, initial jobless claims, Philadelphia Fed, wholesale inventories, new home sales. Nothing really to cause any stirs in the market, but something to keep an eye on. And then come Friday, there's really as of nothing. So really all we want to make sure that we're paying attention to is Wednesday, as all eyes will be on Jerome Powell at 2:30 to see if there's any change in the potential rate cut decisions later this coming year. All right. Now, I always like to want to take a look at the oil, how oil was moving over the weekend. As of right now, it's up almost 4.5%. We're looking at over $100 a barrel, so that is something to keep an eye on as we open up on Monday. And then when it comes to NASDAQ futures, it looks like everything looks to be just overall flat. So really nothing crazy happening over the weekend. So I would say that's a plus when it comes to it, knowing on Monday morning, we don't have any type of serious drawdown. As of right now, anything, of course, could happen between now, 2 o'clock on Sunday to Monday morning. So that's something just to keep an eye on when it comes to it. But as of right now, we're looking like we're opening up pretty flat. Now, I would go into earnings, but the earnings season is basically over. I like to basically post stuff like that. But as of right now, there's no big earnings looking in this coming week. So we're just going to jump right into the charts, starting with ES. So as we saw this past Thursday and Friday, I did mention that we did have a huge sell-off, rejecting off my 6,700 area, coming down, now testing the bottom of the range. One thing you always want to keep a look at when you're zooming out is basically, just the individual ranges that we've been in, and just basically playing the key levels. So come Friday, we had basically a touch of this, almost the previous day highs, and then we just basically sold off towards into the close. Now we're looking to basically overall play this bottom of this range that we have here at 6,500 or 65.5. This is going to be a very key level to keep an eye on as we go into next week. If we do decide to break this, then there's most likely a good chance we'll start to look to continuation to the downside, roughly around that 6,300 support and then 62. So I'll be keeping an eye on these two levels if we do decide to break down, but also mainly until we break down, I'm going to be keeping an eye on this 65.5 area as a potential bounce to the upside. If we get something like this, we open up and test the top side of this range. That is something I'm going to be keeping an eye on coming this week. If we do get any type of bullish news on Wednesday, there's a good chance that we'll probably get some type of flat Monday and Tuesday due to the fact of Jerome Powell speaking at 2:30. But again, there is always the chance of people starting their positions sooner rather than later, knowing that we do have most likely a pause come on Wednesday. And Jerome Powell just speaks the way he needs to speak to not do anything crazy in the current market conditions that we're in at the moment. So that is something that I'm going to be keeping an eye on, this, like I said, this 65.5 area for a potential bounce. Looking at NQ, same kind of idea, which is also good because as you saw, like ES is at the bottom of its range, NQ also at the bottom of its range, but is going to most likely open at the support, as ES do have a little bit more room to fall. So that's something to keep an eye on as we open up on Monday to see if we bounce right off of this potential support. As you saw in the previous tab when I was showing the NQ futures, we did open up flat. So if that continues from now all the way until market open tomorrow morning, that is something we can definitely keep an eye on for a potential quick reversal to the upside come Monday morning. But again, just make sure to keep an eye on this level to see if we do bounce or not. Because if we do decide for the continuation downside with the follow through since Thursday and Friday, then there's really nothing stopping this, and maybe until 2,300, and then the next potential bounce here at 22.4. When, as you can see, we had 1, 2, 3 potential resistance areas, which then continue to the break. And then now we're going to try and retest that level. There is potential support here at 2,300, 23.2, but I feel a little bit safer playing longs at this 22.4 area for a potential rebound into that next resistance. So that's something to keep an eye on as we go into this week, as we're going to be, like I said, opening up at support. The next thing I'm going to be looking at is BTC. As you can see, BTC is catching a little bounce over the weekend. We just having little small candles, but again, I'm not anywhere bullish on this one until we get over this 6,500, as this has been resistance 1, 2, 3 times, multiple times over here. So, until we get over this 65, I'm not going to be really thinking of any type of longs into 80 plus. until we get over that. But as of right now, we just basically play the levels. I would be playing short until we get any type of serious bullish news on the economic global side, but play these levels of 7,400 for a potential short idea. If we do break, then you're just stop for a small loss at 75. But this is something I'm going to be keeping an eye on as BTC continues higher. NQ is opening up at just about even, and oil is not rising to an extreme level as of yet, sitting at roughly around $100 a barrel, which most likely will open up lower come hopefully the market opens with Trump allowing for boats coming through the Strait of Hormuz and allowing us to hit our reserves so that gas prices will come down, oil prices will come down, and the domino effect when it comes to a lot of other things like planes being cheaper prices, gas prices being lower, transportation being lower. A lot of things start to domino effect as gas prices go up and down. So I know for a fact Trump wants to make sure that the oils per barrel is lower than what is showing as of right now. So again, we just want to make sure we're playing these key levels until we get a break over 75,000. I'm not 100% a bull as of yet when it comes to these movements. Now, at the end of the video, I always like to basically provide 3 potential trade ideas that I'm looking at this coming week. We do have pretty good setups coming, like as from Friday. Basically, we did get some breakdowns on particular stocks. We did get some bounces on particular stocks. So I do have 3 potential trade ideas that I'm going to be looking at this coming week. And the first one I'm going to be keeping an eye on is Apple. Apple has been selling off since Wednesday as an overall market, and now we're getting in a potential buy zone for a potential move back to the upside. So 250 being the psychological level was a potential bounce area, but I do like a continuation to the downside. If we do get to roughly around 240, 245, this would be a potential solid bounce right off of here, as this was recently a resistance here. Then it broke through, retested it to go long, also retested it to go long, and then now we're going to be retesting it again. So if we do get roughly around this 245-ish area, I'll definitely look to stab longs. But if the market does continue to the downside, I also wouldn't mind something like this as well for a potential short idea back under to 225 to the downside. As really we have nothing stopping us. We might have some type of resistance roughly around 230-ish area, 235, but I do like this for a potential short under 245, 250. As it's a big psychological level. If it is get lost here, definitely look to test longs, but also test shorts in that area. Next is AMD. AMD also, again, selling off since Wednesday of last week. Now we're getting down to a potential support area, roughly around this 186, 185 area. As you can scroll out a little bit, we have basically resistance here, broke through, tested it. We did get a little bounce, came through, came as resistance once again, resistance once again, resistance once again. And sort of not really, but a support right here as we went along to 209. Now we're getting back into this level, roughly around that 186. I definitely, again, want to keep an eye on this key level for potential longs back into 201. But also, if we do decide to break, we do have a massive gap fill all the way to 170 psychological level, roughly around there. So I would love to take a stab short if we do decide to break this 186 for a break and retest short to 170, as we do have, like I said, a gap fill to fill if the market does want to continue to pull. All right. And then lastly, my last one I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on is Palantir. I think I mentioned this one last week. Going into the week, I wanted to see this 150 hold as a psychological level. We did get a bounce on Wednesday into that to 155. We did come down on Friday, retested that 150, and then as you can see with that wick, we do have buyers sitting here at this 150 area. So what I want to make sure to see is if we can get a continuation follow through coming in the beginning of next week, going into Jerome Powell on Wednesday, then and hopefully push this a little bit higher. So if we open up flat on Monday, I wouldn't mind taking a stab long back into this Monday, I believe, or last Friday's highs, or 2 Fridays ago's highs to 161 for a potential long idea. As Palantir is a stock that is basically supportive of the war. So what I mean by that is they get government contracts. They basically support the war when it comes to using their artificial intelligence to give the military some type of advantage, strategic advantage when it comes to the support of that. So they do benefit the war. They benefit government contracts. They get paid by government contracts. So Palantir will benefit as a stock as longer this war goes on. So if this does potentially catch a bounce come Monday and any type of war news comes on, this would be a stock to basically catch a bid as long as basically the war and they keep getting funded government contracts to support it. So 150 is something I'm going to be keeping an eye on as we go into this week to see if we continue to hold. Now, again, if the market overall continues to pull to the downside, if we do decide to break below 150, then I would be taking a stab short and back into this range to see if we can test the bottom at 130. But those are the key levels I'm going to be keeping an eye on this coming week. All right. So that's basically it with the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Just make sure to, play some key levels as we don't know what's going to happen when it comes to the war. One day we hear that Iran is surrendering. The next day we hear from Trump saying that he's going to bomb them and continue to bomb them until they're defeated. So, as of right now, a tweet is the decider if we go long or go short. And we just got to make sure we're playing on the right side of the stock when that tweet comes out or if the war does ever end. So that's just make sure that you got to trade safe and trade smart and understand key levels, as you never know which side we go up or down. So with that, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a good trading week, and just make sure to trade smart and trade safe, and just make sure to secure that bag, because you never know, you might lose it in the next tweet. All right. So with that, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good trading week. If you guys have any questions or concerns, leave a comment down below. And then make sure to give us a follow. If you have any questions, hit the bell notification. I post videos every week. So with that, hope you guys have a great day. Peace.